This has to be the absolute worst week for Democrats in a very, very long time. Everyone, including Bill Maher, is saying that this is Trump's best week ever, and the Democrats literally can't stop panicking. I got to admit, I'm tired of doing this past week of videos where I keep talking about the panic they're going through, but they are. From Democrats confronting Nancy Pelosi in the House, actual congressmen, yelling at her for tearing up the speech, voters announcing they're quitting the party, to people now likening Trump's firing of certain staff as the Friday Night Massacre, trying to make it seem like it's the Saturday Night Massacre of the Watergate scandal, but Trump is winning. And some of the comments being brought forward by people on the left, it's just nuts. They can't stop freaking out, and for good reason. The debate's a mess. The economy is great. Trump's approval rating is up. And we just heard from James Carville the other day saying that the party, he said, we are essentially out of our minds. They're complete disarray. Steve Bannon appeared on Bill Maher the other night, and they're now saying Bill Maher got trounced and torn to shreds. Bannon said, you had 4 years to figure this out and you didn't do it. So yeah, they keep panicking, and I don't know what else to say. Because the comments I'm seeing in response to this latest story, that Vindman was escorted out of the White House and fired, and so is Sondland, it's nothing but panic. They say, Trump's coming for your family. He can go after anyone. It's the Friday Night Massacre. Calm down. It's not the end of the world. You started a fight you couldn't win, and this is what happens. This week is just getting worse and worse for the Democrats, and I can only imagine it's going to continue to get worse. To try and claim otherwise would be a lie. So let's get started and go through all of these things where the conservatives are winning. And I'm just going to say it this way. I think what we're seeing is the right, the Republicans, conservatives, whatever, absolutely dominating the culture war. It's not just about Donald Trump. It's about the economy. It's about cultural politics. It's about the comedians coming out and making offensive jokes. It's about the rise of conservative media and the collapse of left-wing digital media amid mass layoffs. I don't know how else to frame this, but this is at least what I'm seeing. And I got all the sources to back this up. Let's get started, though, with Trump's moves against those who testified against them. The story from Huffington Post. Alexander Vindman's brother also booted from White House after Trump acquittal. You see, it wasn't just Vindman, it was also his twin brother. But before we get started, make sure you head over to timcast.com/donate. If you'd like to support my work, there are several different ways you can give, but the best thing you can do, share this video. I often try and say that breaking echo chambers is one of the best things we can do by sharing this video. I got to admit at this point, there are probably too many people who are so entrenched and refuse to accept this insane defeat and Trump's constant winning. They probably don't want to watch it. But I also would make a bet there are a lot of people that are completely disillusioned by the constant failures and defeat. Earlier today, I did a segment talking about the Democratic debates we saw last night, where they tried claiming once again that the economy is bad. Yet according to Gallup, only 10% of the population of the United States thinks that the economy is the number one issue. Why? Because the economy is it's going great. And most people are experiencing this firsthand. Those people might they might be now a bit disillusioned. Why do they keep telling me things are bad when things are better than ever? There was one story where Democratic voters in Boston said they recognize how great everything is going, but they're concerned about climate change. Well, unfortunately for Democrats, they're on the debate stage saying the economy, an issue that most people are actually good with and thank the president for. So perhaps these people need to hear a dose of reality. Everything the Democrats have tried, their battle in the culture war, it's all failing. Impeachment failed, emoluments failed, 25th Amendment, you name it. Everything they've thrown at this man, he has defeated them. And now he is launching a counteroffensive. Republicans have been investigating Hunter Biden. They are escalating these investigations. The Treasury Department is submitting documents. The Durham investigation is underway. Republicans, conservatives, the right are absolutely crushing it. And every day I look at the media, what do I see? Democrats freaking out, and it's getting worse. Here's the story. Huffington Post. Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, the Army officer who was fired from the National Security Council after testifying in President Donald Trump's impeachment trial, wasn't the only one escorted from the White House on Friday. His twin brother, Army Lieutenant Colonel Yevgeny Vindman, was also escorted off White House grounds at the same time and apparently dismissed from his post at the National Security Council. They say Alexander Vindman was the Ukraine expert for the NSC, while Yevgeny Vindman was a senior lawyer and ethics official for the council. Both are decorated Army officers. David Pressman, an attorney for Vindman, Alexander, said in a statement to Huffington Post that Yevgeny Vindman was escorted from the White House suddenly and with no explanation, despite over 2 decades of loyal service to this country. He is deeply disappointed that he will not be able to continue his service at the White House, Pressman added. Alexander Vindman testified about his knowledge of the president's July 2019 phone call with the Ukrainian president that triggered a whistleblower complaint and led to Trump's impeachment inquiry and proceedings. Well, we know from the actual impeachment inquiry testimony in the House Intelligence Committee that in all likelihood, at least according to Schiff's actions, Vindman was the one who spoke with the whistleblower who made the complaint in the first place. Now, I think it's a bit hyperbolic, or it's an extreme exaggeration, in my opinion, to call Vindman a traitor or a spy or anything like that. He was simply a disgruntled employee. He was upset that Donald Trump wasn't taking his advice, but he wasn't the president nor the president's advisors as much as he actually tried claiming he was. He got upset that they wouldn't listen to his opinion. He complained, and someone filed a complaint which sparked the impeachment. Naturally, Donald Trump viewed him as insubordinate, and he's letting him go. But what do we? So that's actually not the only story. I want to cover this for very quickly before I get to the freak out. Trump just fired Gordon Sondland as the EU ambassador. This is part of Trump's post-acquittal purge. Gordon Sondland should also be removed for one reason, not because he's a traitor or a spy or any of these extreme opinions, but because he flip-flopped and gave conflicting testimony, and what he was saying didn't actually have a basis in fact, but his own personal opinion. Why? Don't know. But that compromise is probably bad for security. And if Trump can't trust his ambassadors, then it makes sense he needs to bring on someone who he can trust. Does that mean Sondland did anything wrong? No. It just means the boss needs people he can trust. It doesn't mean it's retribution or revenge. It literally means Trump is the one who sets foreign policy. He's the one who was elected, whether you like him or not. And I am very critical of much of his foreign policy. But that's the way this country works. If you want to change it, change it. But don't act like these people are immune because they testified in an inquiry panel, not a criminal trial. But that's exactly what we're seeing now. This tweet from Joyce Aline, a U of Alabama law professor for MSNBC, apparently, contributor. Vindman's brother was fired and walked out alongside him. Understand, Trump can now come for anyone who gets in his way. He can retaliate against family. The people who wouldn't do the right thing for its own sake should know that that day can come for them too. It seems trivial to mention at this point, but retaliation against a witness is a federal crime. There was no criminal trial. There was an impeachment trial. But the Democrats did not accuse Trump of any actual statutory crime. So I think it's a bit of a stretch to say he's retaliating against witnesses. And look, I question Trump's judgment on a lot of things. There's a lot of things going good with the country right now. But let's be real. His brother, should he have been fired? That's a tough question. But I think there's a serious issue of insubordination and disgruntled employees or people serving at the pleasure of the president, whatever you want to call them. If Trump can't trust you in his administration, don't be surprised if he asks you to leave. Now, they weren't technically fired. Some people are saying they were. They're being reassigned. That's my understanding. But all of these people freaking out, it's getting a bit crazy. Friday night massacre. Experts say Trump firing of 3 officials, including Sondland and Vindman, is a criminal offense. Trump is the president. If you are working in the administration, he chooses if you can work there. It's not criminal for a president to say, I don't trust you. I don't think you'll do a good job. It's time to go. What's the argument now? That anyone who ever complains about the president is immune from being fired? That's completely insane. Several other presidents have purged tons of appointees and employees. They get in and they say, all these people brought in by the other guy, they got to go. That's a part of the political process. That when the American people vote for someone new, that person is going to set policy, and that means dramatic change. It's actually a good thing to remove people who you think might be in too long. Otherwise, you'll get an actual deep state. One of the biggest concerns we should have are permanent appointees who exist in these positions of high power in government without being elected. So if Trump is going to make some moves and fire some people or reassign them, I don't see it as a big deal. I think people are freaking out. They can't stop panicking. Seriously, Friday Night Massacre? You all need to calm down. But I get it, man. I got a lot more. Donald Trump and the Republicans are just sweeping the victories in. Trump said you get tired of winning. I gotta be honest. I am actually tired of Trump's winning. And I mean that not as a joke, because the past several videos I've done have been about Democrats quitting, Democrats panicking, Democrat, party collapsing. Panic, panic, panic. I don't know how many videos I've made talking about their panic, but I kid you not. It's, people in Congress saying, what are they doing? Why are they getting these papers on Hunter Biden? Oh, no, they're investigating us. It's people saying, oh, geez, Trump is retaliating against families. It just doesn't stop. So I was sitting here trying to figure out, is there a different story I can do? But if I want to talk about what's happening in 2020 in mainstream politics, this is what's happening. This is the big news. Vindman was trending #1 last night. And the response from Democrats was sheer panic over the fact that Trump fired a guy. Look at this. President Donald Trump late Friday afternoon and evening ended the week by firing 3 administration and White House officials he blames for his impeachment in a campaign of retribution that some experts are calling illegal. If the president can't fire people, then what's the point of an election? Do we just have permanent appointees? You put a guy in the office, he says these 10 guys are now working here and you can never get rid of them. Well, what's the point of the election? That's the point. Trump needs to get rid of people he doesn't like. They go on to mention what we already know, that Vindman, his brother, and Sondland. Here's where it gets funny. The hashtag Friday Night Massacre is trending on Twitter right now. I'm sorry, man. I'm looking at my YouTube and I'm seeing all these videos about Democrats panicking. But if you want to argue that I'm wrong to say so, by all means, I'm willing to hear it, but I couldn't figure it out. What else is it when they're trying to claim this is a Friday night massacre? That's you lost. Trump got acquitted. It's not the end of the world. Calm down. No, they're freaking out. Elie Honig, CNN analyst and former federal prosecutor Elie Honig, said Trump's actions are criminal. Oh, we've heard this before. Every single time they accuse Trump of a crime. Okay, why didn't you actually accuse him of a crime in the impeachment trial? They didn't. Abuse of power, obstruction of Congress, political charges. I'm sounding this bell now. It is disgraceful and criminal to demote, fire witnesses, as we are seeing with Vindman, his brother Sondland. So what? They testify another immune forever and Trump can never get rid of them? That makes no sense. I'm sorry. But this could get even worse, including bogus criminal charges against perceived Trump enemies in FBI and elsewhere. Watch for this. They are in such a free fall panic. It is insane. Check this out. David Rothkopf, he's a CEO of the Rothkopf Group, says Friday Night Massacre. Don't lose sight of the fact that this wave of retribution is a crime. Oh, geez. I'm already smelling second impeachment, like the meme. Well, we've had first impeachment. What about second impeachment? Maybe y'all should just stop. It's not working. You're crazed. You know what it is? I think I figured it out. Every single time I talk about them panicking because of some fringe insanity, it shows they're not thinking rationally. They're not planning ahead. They don't know their enemy, and they're entering a battle they've already lost before it started. To slightly reference Sun Tzu, they need to stop. They need to stop pretending the economy is bad. But all they have, because what Americans are looking for is being taken care of, is screeching about Trump's crimes. Okay, you know what? The election is coming up. And they know they can't win because we heard it. I think it was Al Green who said, if we don't impeach him, he might get reelected. Oh no. Oh no, people are going to reelect the guy? Why can't you form a cohesive party? Why are the Democrats fractured down the middle? With according to the Daily Beast, Steve Bannon trouncing Bill Maher when Bannon said you had 4 years to learn. Here's another one. MSNBC political analyst. Friday Night Massacre? It's a reference to Nixon, but this was Nixon's downward spiral before his resignation, not his victory lap. So did resistance organizer, Indivisible co-founder and co-executive director Ezra Levin. He says, thanks for the Friday Night Massacre. The Friday Night Massacre. CNN, the Friday Night Massacre continues. Oh, man. Well, I'll tell you what. Romney faces party scorn, isolation after impeachment vote. He is ostracized. I'll throw a little criticism this way. I think Romney was wrong, but I do think the Trump supporters better be careful because people keep calling y'all a cult. And if you demand everyone step in line or else, I think it's hard to actually argue against in certain circumstances. Look, Romney made, in my opinion, the wrong decision, but it was kind of irrelevant. Fine. Okay, we saw Democrat defectors. Jeff Van Drew actually quit the Democratic Party. My advice would be don't be like them. Don't treat Romney like a pariah or ostracize him. Criticize him and move on. I know it's not perfect. A lot of people are angry, but I'll tell you what. One of the worst things Democrats did was tell Jeff Van Drew, you're either with us or against us. And then he said, bye-bye. And Donald Trump scooped him right up with a handshake and an endorsement. And he rallied in his district. That was power for the Trump supporters. Be careful where you tread, because if you sling mud back in the other direction, people might actually doubt your integrity. Again, I think Romney was wrong on this one. I think the impeachment was hyper-partisan nonsense. Romney did it, don't know why, but he's a senator for a while. So my bet would be he knows that by the time he's actually up for re-election, people will have moved beyond this. So we'll see what happens. But again, I'll stress, you look at what happened with Jeff Van Drew, don't make the same mistake. But now Trump is moving for expungement. I know I've talked about this quite a bit, but it bears repeating because we're talking about the never-ending victories of Donald Trump. Political hoax. Trump called for his impeachment to be expunged. He's going to win. What you threw failed. He's going to get reelected. And when he does, and when the Republicans win the House because you're in incessant nagging about the orange man, it's driving people, it's making them angry. They're going to expunge this. And Donald Trump is going to... he's going to have that victory under his belt. He just keeps winning. Now I want to do this. I want to go through several different stories I have that are more about the victories of the right. And in the culture war, it's beyond just the Democratic Party. Now they keep freaking out. They keep panicking. But there's a lot more going on here. This is a story we saw from the other day. Or I'm sorry, it's actually from, I think, today. Steve Bannon outduels and embarrasses Bill Maher on Real Time. Even the Daily Beast, the left-wing media outlet, is giving Steve Bannon the victory. That, to me, was nuts. Bill Maher is not afraid to bring on controversial figures and have great conversations. I have tremendous respect for him for doing this. And he looked defeated. And he said when they were arguing, it's Trump's best week ever. And boy, did he look upset. But Bannon kept trying to get to him, saying, listen, he likes Bernie. Bannon said he liked Bernie. He thinks Bernie's identified the real problem but has the wrong solutions. And he said, look at what the establishment is doing to Bernie. They don't want to listen. They don't. They ignore what Bannon says. They ignore his warnings. And I'll tell you this. I don't know a whole lot about Bannon. Never been a big fan because I don't really pay attention to him or what he does. But I feel similarly that when I say, calm down, stop freaking out, try and come up with a cohesive strategy, they don't listen. When I make videos pointing out these people are freaking out, calling it a massacre, as if it's Watergate, it's not. It's a problem you created and you lost and you keep losing. They get mad. They accuse me of being partisan. Look, man, I'm fairly ambivalent. I wouldn't vote for Trump, but that's the problem. They demand you be a partisan. It's entirely possible moving forward that, Republicans lose when their time comes. And you'll hear me saying similar things to them being sore losers. But for the time being, this is how the game is being played. So let me just stress. When I was covering Occupy Wall Street, they loved what I had to say. When I started talking about their failures and defeats, that was the Obama administration. When I started talking about their failures and defeats, they started getting angry about it. You had your victories. Now you have your defeats. It's a weird, weird world. That simply for pointing out the economy is doing really, really well, journalists won't talk about it. That makes me right-wing as if my opinions are right-wing. That to me is nuts. I covered this earlier, but it needs to be shown in this context. John Lettieri said, maybe in light of yet another strong jobs report, reporters will push leading presidential candidates who claim the economy is fundamentally broken to produce some stronger evidence. That's what I mentioned earlier. Only 10% of Americans believe economic issues are the most important. So every time you hear a Democrat say wealth inequality, they say the economy isn't working for you, it's broken, it's only working for the 1%. They're just lying. I guess they have nothing left. That's literally it. Well, here's the more bad news. The rest of this is going to be about how conservatives are just sweeping up the field. In my opinion, they've won already. Maybe Trump will be defeated. I don't know. But I'll tell you this from the Wall Street Journal. Iowa Democratic turnout prompts concerns about voter enthusiasm. Some in the party wonder if state has become more conservative as turnout falls short of the 2008 record. Maybe it's preemptive, but this is a bad indication for the Democrats about what's coming next. They were supposed to rally record enthusiasm to compete with Donald Trump, to defeat him. I thought this country was upset and hated the man. I thought his approval rating was below 50%. I thought all of these things, and I thought maybe I'm in a bubble. And most of America really, really hates Trump, and they're going to come out in droves and sweep the field. Then Iowa happened, and there was no record turnout. There was first time caucus goers were actually down. This projects something very dire for Democrats going forward. I think with a strong economy, good national security, and Trump, trying to lower drug prices and trying to do some things in terms of at least selling some of his healthcare plans, not perfectly, mind you. He's made comments about Medicare that James Carville was freaking out about. But Trump has tackled core issues that matter the most. And I think as much as you might go on Twitter and hear that the Orange Man is bad and it's a Friday Night Massacre, the reality is the average American doesn't really care because they got cash in their pockets and they're having a good time. That means they're not going to come out to caucus. In fact, some people couldn't even stay the hour. This was the craziest thing to me. Not only was voter turnout bad in Iowa, some people who showed up left early because they couldn't give the hour. I'll just leave it there. I was going to swear, but I'll stop. No, they couldn't even give an hour to represent the person they wanted to win. They couldn't do it. That's how little they actually cared. And then they went home. That means come election time with these projections, it's going to get real bad. Here's another little bit. Maybe I'll wrap this up soon. From Gallup last month, the U.S. remained center-right ideologically. I think it's fair to say that the conservatives and the right are dominating the culture war right now. I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but I think it's that, there is no real Democratic Party. They've fractured, they're split. You say the word Democrat, and who are you even describing? A Bernie Sanders socialist or a Joe Biden, corporate centrist or whatever you call him? I don't know. I have no idea. And so I've had people tell it to me when I say Democrats panic. Who are you referring to? Typically, I'm referring to establishment crony types, including the politicians and people in media, people like CNN, who totally smear Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump. The establishment elites is typically who I'm referring to. So I think AOC, Ocasio-Cortez, when she said Joe Biden and I wouldn't be in the same party, she made it clear she's not a Democrat. In fact, Bernie Sanders isn't even a Democrat. He's an independent. He's not even registered. That's my understanding. Let me wrap it up with one last bit. It's only going to get better for conservatives. It's only going to get better. August 26, 2019, Axios. Conservative media thrives, grows broader under Trump. That's right. Daily Wire being one of the biggest media outlets on Facebook. And they tried accusing Ben Shapiro of some stupid conspiracy, that he was using fake pages and he was manipulating. No, get out of here. I'm not going to listen to it. That's just nuts. And now we have this. 7,800 people have lost their jobs so far this year in a media landslide. That's right. Left-wing outlets, Huffington Post, Vice, BuzzFeed, etc. Well, they're losing staff. Conservative media is growing. It's on the rise. It's doing better and better and better. Left-wing media is failing. Trump is winning. He won. The last thing the other day was not only did he just get acquitted, but he won the emoluments lawsuit 3-0. All the judges sided with him. 20%, this is my understanding, 20% of federal judges were appointed by Trump. He is sweeping up the field. Conservatives are getting everything they want. And now, I'll do this. Here's the very last bit. They're trying to get Donald Trump's tweet about Nancy Pelosi deleted. Blue check marks. I'll tell you what, this should be the nice little bow tie on the end. Panic mode, 100%. Demanding Twitter and Facebook delete a video that just shows Nancy Pelosi tearing up the speech. They claim because emphasis was added to show the various things Trump was saying, that means it's manipulated video. Well, I'm sorry, but Facebook and Twitter are siding with the president. It was Nancy Pelosi's fault she tore that up. And of course, the only thing they can do is freak out and fail. A variety of blue checkmark Twitter users saying, it's edited, it must be removed, it's edited. But then we get this. The communications, presumably someone working on communications for Facebook, in response to someone calling the video deliberately designed to mislead and lie to the American people, Facebook employee said, sorry, are you suggesting the president didn't make those remarks and the speaker didn't rip the speech? Well, yeah. He then linked to the manipulated, enforcing against manipulated media, which he highlights saying the video is real. All Trump did was show what he was saying. Here's the airman, here's the serviceman, and it showed Pelosi ripping the speech up. In the end, we now have Mark Zuckerberg claiming to side with free expression. Does that mean the big Trump supporters are going to get their channels back and be reinstated? No. But it certainly means Zuckerberg is taking the side of free speech in the culture war. So it's not just Trump's victory. It's not just Democratic panic. It's the economic victories. It's the shift slightly towards conservatism across the country, according to Gallup. It's the Democrats' constant panic and demands that are falling on deaf ears. I'll leave it there. Stick around. Next segment's coming up at 6 p.m. YouTube.com/TimCastNews. It is a different channel, and I will see you all then.